With late cold fronts continuing to pound Texas, it's going to be important to keep up with the changing water temperatures and conditions. Our guides are standing by with the 411 on what you should do this weekend. So grab a cold one and get ready, because it's time for the Texas Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. We're your hosts, Brie Gabrielle and Captain Rick Murphy, and we hope y'all were able to get out on the water and catch some fish this past week. But Rick, like you said, it's looking like conditions are going to be a little bit colder this weekend.
You're absolutely right.
So you're going to want to grab a hot one.
They are going to want to grab a hot one.
Good
for you,
with,
Brie.
You know, tin cup.
But I'm going to, you just took it all from me, boy.
Sorry.
But I got to tell you guys, it is going to get cold. It seems like now that the new January and February is March and April, and we have cold fronts that are coming through, keeping the water temperature down. The bass aren't sure whether they should go shallow to do their spawning in Lake Fork, but I have a report that the fishing is going off. So it'll be interesting to see what happens throughout the weekend.
It's going to keep you eyes on your toes. All right, before we get into our first batch of reports, let's see what our workbench guru, Dave Farrell, is cooking up over there for us. What are we getting into this week, Dave?
Well, you know, April is the time when we have a lot of big sheephead coming. So we're going to talk about catching great big sheephead off the jetties.
Ooh, that sounds like fun. I hear bubbler over there, do you?
Yep, I hear the bubbler.
I hear the bubbler. All right, we're starting our weekend fishing excursions in the Upper Fresh region with Mike McFarland, and he may be new to the crew, but he's got reports from Lake Fork, Levant, and Texoma that will have you catching them up this weekend, so take it away.
Hey guys, how are you doing, man? Good to hear from you.
Grateful
to be here. You're right. This crazy weather, the January and February of Northeast Texas is now the March, April. But man, listen, the largemouth bass fishing in Lake Fork is on fire. Our water temperature ranging from 58 to 64 with 0 to 1 foot water visibility. Back in January, the Sabine River Authority had lowered our lake 6 feet, held a 397 Capt elevation. Well, they have lifted that. They've finished the repairs. The preventative maintenance is done, and the spring rains that we're getting are going to allow the lake to come back up. Couldn't be a better time for it with the spawn coming. Really, really excited to see where this is going to go, because the fish have really started to move into those backwaters regardless of these cold fronts and things that are happening. So our big bass are still being caught on main lake points, shallow reefs, with big glide baits, and 7-inch line-through swim baits are really the best way to really catch these giant females. They're gorging before they move into the shallows to spawn. The last 2 days even are just unbelievable, the amount of 5 and 6 pounders that we're catching. The best fishing, though, is main lake points in shallow water, 1 to 6 feet, no deeper. If you do go into the backwaters, you'll find a lot of the males. They're smaller. They're not those big, giant fish, and you kind of have less of a chance of catching 10-pounders. But using chatter baits, spinner baits, anything in that search-type bait, reaction bait's going to get you some bites. Best colors are going to be chartreuse and white, just plain white. I really like to use a trailer like Lake Fork Tackle Lures, 3.5 Live Magic Shad, or even the Yamamoto Seiko. Again, I really like to use this bait to find those first few bites in the backwaters, and then I'll slow down and I'll Texas rig with a V&M chopstick, usually in Texas Smoke, watermelon candy, or even watermelon red. I'm finding right now, though, that the best color is just simple green pumpkin, dip the tail chartreuse. So even if I'm out in the main lake chasing the big fish on the points and the reefs and the shell beds with the glide baits, I will occasionally take for those Texas rig green pumpkin baits and throw it up there in that 0 to 2 foot of water to catch some of these giants. A lot of guys like throwing the Zoom trick worms, wacky style. It's another great way to fish. Pitch to every single stump in the backwater. You're going to catch some pre-spawn bass. It's really, really the best way to go. Below, I have a picture of a really good friend of mine, Brooke Maurer, who hammered the bass last Saturday. She had 37 pounds for her best 5.
Wow, what a great day. Great picture, Mike. Keep going. Tell us about the crappie on fork.
Crappie on fork, man, Guide Terry Moon, she is so awesome, and she is really out there on an everyday basis. She said that most of the fish have moved into the shallows, but due to these cold fronts, like you said, the actual better fishing is in a little bit deeper water. If you're in the backs of the creeks, fish 2 foot of water or less with a little minnow and a bobber, but the deeper bite on the brush piles and bridge pylons has really been the best. Here's a few fish from one of her latest trips. You can see Lake Fork doesn't just produce giant bass, it produces giant crappie as well.
All right, tell us what else you got. Tell us
We
about
got crappie fishing on Lake Lavon with Carrie Thorne. Kind of the same thing. The northern water temperatures, 58 to 59 degrees, is probably the best way to where you want to be. Get up in the north end of the lake. The fish are spawning there. It's on fire. Depths 1 to 7 feet. Live minnows under a bobber. You can't go wrong.
All right, a little more bass from Texoma. Tell me about it.
Big old beautiful Texoma. You know, Texoma water temperatures are ranging from 59 to 65. You got both largemouths and smallmouths, but the smallmouths right now are going to spawn before those largemouths, so they're really good on the south end. Jigs, shaky heads, green pumpkin chartreuse, tip on the tail, any shad patterns like Spro rock crawler, MD crankbait. Just get down in the south, find some rocks, and you're going to find some smallmouths. The northern end up in the Alberta Creek, you're going to have a little more stained water. The temperature's around 60. I would go up there and throw a chatterbait, search for those bass, kind of like we do on Fork. Chatterbait with a skinny dip trailer or a Lake Fork tackle lures trailer. And then there a really good area is Sand Point. If you're at Sand Point, throw some green pumpkin jigs in the rocks. Your trailer choices can be ultraviolet speed craw. I like the rage craw, but green pumpkin magic in the north end, that's where your quality fish are.
All right, thanks for starting us off tonight, Mike. We appreciate it very much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Upper Fresh region. Mike says that we're going to actually start this week. The fishing is definitely great on Lake Fork. World-class trophy bass fishing combined with some of the very best crappie fishing in the country, and it's on fire, as you could tell by his report. We are seeing double-digit largemouth bass caught daily, as well as huge crappie reaching in excess of 16 inches, weighing as much as 2 to 3 pounds.
You really can't get a better report than that.
No, you
I'd say
really
it's time
can't.
to go to Lake Fork.
All right, let's go.
Let's drop our lines into the Fish Bites Upper Coast region and see what we're reeling in with Captain Carl Weston. Looks like a fun weekend you have planned for us, Carl.
Well, the weather's looking good, too. It's going to warm up a little bit on Saturday, but the seas are going to slick out for us, so we'll definitely run it offshore. But starting inshore today, over in Sabine Pass along the jetties, guys, the sheephead bite has been really good. The guys have been bringing in big fish, and a lot of them. The natural bait they're using right now is a live or dead shrimp, fishing a little bit up off the bottom, like on a Carolina rig, where you can go 16, 18 inches from your slip sinker. And the anglers over in Galveston jetties up on the north side have had really good luck as well. Now, an alternative to live bait has been fish bites in the shrimp flavor. This seems to work really good on a slip rig like we talked about. Our water temps right now around 67 to 69 this week, and they're coming up a little bit. We've had some sunny days, and this means that the bite is just going to improve as the water gets warmer. Today we had a pick of a big table full of sheep's head right here that came in off the jetties last week. So warming up a little bit on the next species, guys, redfish. Okay, we did bull reds last week. Let's talk a little bit about slot reds, because they're running really hot over around Bolivar right now. These fish are patrolling those grassy shorelines in search of bait right now, and the warmer it gets with the warmer water temps, it's 66 right now, but it's creeping up, and these fish are going to be on fire real soon, but they're there right now. The best fish are being found in, say, 6 to 10 feet of water. They'll move in shallower as it heats up. So live shrimp on a popping cork is your preferred bait for live bait right now. We'll go back to the Bass Assassin shrimp on a 1/4 ounce jig head in a light color is getting it done for the artificial choice. Over in Sabine Lake, they've also been producing some really nice fish along the protected shorelines on those windy days. You can get out there, brave the wind, and you'll get some nice fish. Got a picture of Manny today with a beautiful redfish.
All right, let's go offshore, bud.
So we're going to go offshore and talk a little bit about the red snapper's little cousin, the vermilion. Our crew loves to go out in the deeper spots and fish for these little guys. They're a lot of fun to catch, and they're a great fill-in until red snapper season opens again. They're great tasting, and they can be found around the same structure as your red snapper. A little deeper, sometimes 200 to 300 foot range here in the upper coast. And I like to tie on a 2-hook rig that consists of 2 little 4-aught golden eagle claw circle hooks, and I put 2 glow beads above that hook on each little line, running Diamond Moy about 30-pound, works perfect for this setup. And remember to keep your bait small. Fold your squid up almost like a little chicklet, put it on the hook, because they're little bait robbers too. Here's a picture today with Danny, our buddy Danny, with a table full of vermilion and a nice tuna.
Nice. All right, let's go deep dropping.
Go deeper. We're going to talk about tilefish. We went out last week. We had some good luck. This is a really sought after fish here in the Upper Coast. Great eating, great table fare. But you're gonna get an arm workout if you don't have an electric reel, because we start fishing for these in say 6 feet of water and bump out all the way to 1,400 foot. I always use an R&R tackle deep drop rig that has at least 3 hooks, because if you're cranking that far to check bait, you want to make it count. And they make an assortment of size of hooks, glow skirts. They have 3-way swivels on their leaders, which definitely helps because the fish don't get tangled coming up and they don't pop off of your hooks. We don't leave the dock without these guys. So cut squid or any fish, an oily fish cut into chunks, is great for tilefish. I always add a light to the rig at the top and the bottom. This will improve your ratio. And today we got a picture of Zach. This was his first tilefish he ever caught on an R&R deep drop rig.
So Carl, I'm gonna give you a little trick. If you tip those deep drop rigs and those vermilion rigs with a little chunk or strip of fish bites, guess what? It's not gonna peck it off, and you'll catch a lot more. I promise.
Yeah, you're giving a lot of secrets away today, but yeah, that's a good one, boss.
All right, boss. We'll see you later. Thank you so much. Great report. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the R&R tackle hotspots from Carl. He says inshore, the sheep's head at the outside of the North Galveston jetty, throwing live shrimp or fish bites and shrimp flavor on a Carolina rig, and then offshore, vermilion snappers dropping on structures 200 to 300 foot range with cut squid tipped on a 4.0 gold Eagle Claw circle hook, Brie.
All your secrets. What is wrong with you?
I mean, I can't
He's just here to help the
stand it
people.
when anything robs me of my opportunity.
So you're helping
And
out
guess
the people.
what? Fish bites has changed the way they, the bait.
Yeah.
It's
The mash rate.
Yep. You
got
gotta
it.
have a smorgasbord.
Just try it. All right, the STARTRON Middle Fresh region is on our dance card next, but first, we're seeing what fancy dance Dave Farrell is teaching us at the workbench for rigs and techniques. Sheep's head.
Fancy dance.
Fancy dance.
Crab crawl. You do the crab crawl. Look at that guy.
That's a fancy dance.
He's kicking. These are great bait for a little big sheep head. They love a crustacean.
Yum, yum.
I never met one I didn't like either.
Dave.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Bahio Sunglasses. Blue light blocking. Radically clear lenses. Garmin. Plot your paradise. FiberTex. Leaders in fiberglass fabrication and repair. Sportsman's Adventures. Fishing for adventure. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
So Dave, you had to do your homework tonight because
Yeah,
we're here at the workbench. And
I usually
know-
don't target sheephead. I've caught a few of them. The biggest one I ever caught, I was actually targeting them that night. I was hanging under a bridge and I caught about an 8.5, 9 pounder on a treble hook with a little shrimp, and that's a great way to catch them. Little tiny treble hooks are a really good way to catch them. But the sheephead, he's a porgy. He's a member of the porgy family. He's got a lot of teeth in him. He's called a sheephead because he's got teeth like a sheep. If you open up a sheep's lips, so they got these big ass teeth. Well, same thing with a sheephead. They got great big old teeth in there, and they can take pieces off. So don't put your finger in their mouth.
Oh no,
no, because they make their living. They make their living eating crustaceans. Crabs, oysters, barnacles, and those sort of things. So, like I said before, they've never met a crustacean they didn't like either. So if you can feed them a crustacean, you're probably going to get a bite out of them. So they're found all around near hard bottom. Anything that barnacles and stuff can grow on, oysters and stuff. Bridge pilings are a great way to find them. Where there's a deep water near an inlet, especially if you got a deep bridge with some good water flow through it, and that's growing a lot of stuff on the pilings. That's a good place to start to look for them. Now, if you're in a boat, what's really good is you can get up alongside those pilings and you can do some natural chumming. get you a flat edge shovel or a paint scraper and scrape those barnacles off into the water when you're anchored up next to those pilings. And as that stuff falls down, the sheephead come. And, then you can drop your crab on them. They love a crab. A fiddler crab or a little blue crab is a really great bait. And best way to probably fish those are there's 3 ways actually. You can fish them on just a split shot rig, with a little split shot about 6 or 8 inches away from your 2/0 hook.
Right.
Or you can use like a knocker rig. And this one is when, it's when you got the weight right exactly down on the hook.
And you told me some of the fellas use a worm weight.
Correct. And you can put a shrimp on there or a crab.
And we're going to hook him in the corner here?
Yep, you can hook him in the corner or straight through the middle, if you got a really good hook. But otherwise, you want to go through they're hard.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
So what about the treble hook? Go ahead.
Well, the treble hook, because they have all those teeth and the way they feed, they'll suck in a crustacean, crush it all up, and then spit out the shell and keep the good stuff,
Right.
So you got to be, really on it when they get that bite, because a lot of times they'll come and they'll just suck your crab right off the hook before you even know what's going on. And what's really good to have is that weight right on the hook, because again, when you have the weight on the bait, you can feel everything that happens to that bait a lot better. You're in more contact with the bait. So using those in combination with just a regular 2/0,
Right.
Sometimes you want, if you're starting to get bit off a lot, you might be catching there might be some bigger fish down there, and they're swallowing that 2/0 short shank all the way down, and then that line's getting to their teeth. If that starts happening to you, if you start breaking off, after the second or third fish, go ahead and start using a long shank hook.
A longer shank.
Yeah, a shank, just like even a regular worm hook 2/0,
Right.
with a bend in it and a round curve. Even that is a good hook sometimes, because when they suck that bait in, and they'll be biting on that hook, that long shank hook, instead of the line. And you only want to be using 20 or 30 pound test line, for your leader, and then 15 pound to 20 pound braid, for your main line.
So Eagle Claw makes these pre-rigged with treble hook.
Yep.
I think these are designed for exactly what we're talking about.
Yes,
Fishing around rock jetties.
Exactly,
right?
Especially when you have a change of tide, when that's started incoming or right when it's going outgoing. Those big weights are really good to keep your bait in a pretty good position, and they got the swivels on it to keep everything from twisting all up, which you don't want. That's for sure.
I like how stealthy that little treble hook is.
The treble hook is really great, because once that goes in, you've got all the way around where you can find a good place to go in. And a sheephead's mouth is a rocky place where your seed can find no purchase. It's pretty tough in there.
All right. They catch them on artificials? No. But you can catch them on fish bites, I guess.
Yeah, fish bites are great, especially when you're pinning a shrimp on there. You can put a shrimp on there and then lay a fish bites on top of it.
Right.
Again, if they come down and suck that shrimp off, they're not going to suck that fish bites off.
That's
so
right.
It'll still be there. And to use a good shrimp flavor or
crab.
They come with clam and crab as well.
Yeah.
Any one of those will work.
Dave, I like it when I ask you to do something and you
nailed it.
He nails it every
Nailed
time.
it.
Good job there, Mr. Farrell.
Oh yeah, here we go. All right, we've got catfish, white bass, crappie, largemouth, and the spawn is on in the STARTRON Middle Fresh region. So let's hear from Matt Loescher with all of those details.
All right, Brie. I'm really excited to bring you this report this week. It is a good time to be fishing here in the Middle Fresh region, regardless of what you're fishing for, really. Everything's biting right now. And as promised, I'm going to diversify my report this week with some other species, starting with the crappie. So they have been cooperating really well on Toledo Bend. Right now, they're in the middle of their spawn, and the guys have been catching a lot of big ones. You can find them in the shallow flats around stumps and grass patches in 2 to 10 foot of water. The Panfish Assassin soft plastics are awesome for catching those big slabs. A favorite is that crappie dapper, the little small swim bait deal. It's great in electric chicken, monkey milk, and the bluegrass color. You can just swim that thing around the flat and just have a ball catching those crappie. It's kind of like a scaled down version of bass fishing with a swim bait. It's a lot of fun catching them this way. And I've got a photo here for you of kind of show you how much fun it is. Little Lakin with a big old crappie, and you just can't beat that smile, man. You can tell she's having a ball.
Love it. Go.
That's awesome.
Yep. Now moving on to the catfish. They can be found up shallow right now as well, and that goes for most of the lakes in the Middle Fresh region. They're spawning and all that. You'll want to search for them in the same depth as the crappie, about 2 to 10 foot. And to catch them, you can try a couple of different things. One is drift a minnow under a cork and set that minnow down near the bottom. Or you can set some cut bait or some stink bait on like a 3-way swivel rig so that the bait can float up just a little bit off the bottom. It's good to get the bait just a little off the bottom, just a little bit. A great way to get started catching them and kind of find where they're at is just setting out a bunch of lines kind of in a spread. It's a fun way to relax, sit back, and catch some dinner at the same time. And then, kind of move those lines closer to the one that's getting bit, or you might be so busy with one you have to reel a bunch of the other ones in, because there's a ton of catfish in these lakes. So they make some great table fare. Y'all go get them right now while they're in that shallow water. Now moving over to the white bass, they can be found on Toledo Bend and many of the other lakes as well here in the region in about 10 to 20 foot of water. They like to stay out just a little bit deeper, and you'll want to focus on the main lake areas to find the largest schools of them. Keep your eyes on those Garmin electronics for the large concentrations of bait fish, because white bass are always going to be with the bait. They feed a lot. A silver jigging spoon is my favorite way to catch them, and it's real easy too. All you have to do is get right over the top of them and just drop that thing down to the bottom and just hop it up and down off the bottom and hang on, man. They're a hard fighting fish. They're a blast to catch, and they make some good table fare as well. Now last but certainly not least, finish up today, I'm going to update you on my personal favorite, the largemouth bass. Spawn is really in full swing here in the Middle Fresh region, so I'm going to kind of lump all the lakes in my region together this week for the sake of time, because I don't know of a single one where the bass are not spawning right now. They are spawning on every lake I know of, and there's subtle differences in the ways that you can catch them on all of these lakes. But there are certain presentations that just work great on all of them. And a perfect example of that is a Texas rig soft plastic. I mean, it's called the Texas rig for a reason, right? And that presentation will just catch them all the time, and it's really deadly right now during the spawn. I like to put it with a real light weight, like an 1/8 or a 3/16 ounce weight. And then for bait to put on it, I'm going with the Bass Assassin Fat Job or that new Whoop-Eye Crawl. And man, that new Whoop-Eye Crawl has been really good to me lately. I'm catching a lot of fish on it. They're hitting it hard. And I might have a new favorite color as well. Bass Assassin has put out a watermelon red blue color, which has a bluish pearl shimmer over the top of that traditional watermelon red color. Really resembles those bluegill really well. And when the bass are around their nest, man, a bluegill comes near it, they just annihilate that thing. It's been really good for me, so check that one out. And I am going to single out one lake real quick before I finish up, and that's OH Ivy. I mentioned last week how it was just a little bit behind the others on the spawn, but that is no longer the case. Those giant bass on Ivy are spawning now, and my good buddy Jared Poole has gone up there to catch them, and catch them he has. Jared has put his clients on some incredible fish this week. It's really so good, it's almost unbelievable, but I've seen the videos and I've seen the pictures, so this is the real deal. Y'all go check out Jared's website, hillcountryhammer.com, and get out there with him and catch some of these giant bass. You got to get in on this. It's too good to be true. I'm going to leave you with 3 reasons why you need to go see Jared. If you'll put the photos up, here are 3 perfectly good examples of why you need to go fishing with Jared right now. These are 3 bass, all over 13 pounds, guys.
Oh, my.
Wow.
Oh, my Lord, have
Ethan
mercy.
Reinhardt with a 13-pound, 12-ounce bass. Caleb Marburger with a 14-pound, 8-ounce bass. And Caden Crittenbrick with a 13-pound, 3-ounce bass.
Nice.
Just incredible. Beats all I've ever seen. Y'all go check it out.
All right, man, we will. Thank you so much, Matt. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Middle Fresh region. Matt says that the Rodan Marine Middle Fresh hot spots, the spawn is in full swing over the Middle Fresh region. Bass, crappie, catfish can be found in 2 to 10 feet of water, and the white bass can be found in 10 to 20 feet.
You're jealous of his mullet. Okay, anglers, we're headed east to check in with the Lower Coast and Garmin Middle Coast region.
Really?
So hang tight.
Really?
Yep. And remember to keep up with everything fishing in Texas. Make sure to head on over to our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and to see new fishing adventures, along with reports, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy with no mullet. See you soon.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Island Lures, Tournament Tackle. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Sirius XM Marine, weather, fish mapping, entertainment. Shallow Sport, Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Penn, let the battle begin.
Today's PowerPole tip is about the new PowerPole Charge power management station. The cool thing about the Charge is it replaces 3 systems on your boat. It replaces your traditional 3 or 4 bank battery charger, so when you're at the house, you plug it into the wall. The PowerPole Charge is going to optimize and balance your batteries like nothing ever out there. It also replaces your on-the-run charger, so anytime you've got the Yamaha running, it's going to replace the power in your trolling motor batteries and your cranking batteries all day while you're running from spot to spot. And the third thing it does, it's got an emergency start feature in it. So if you're ever out there and your cranking battery dies and you can't get the motor started, go to the Sea Monster app, transfer the power, and you're good to go. Get back to the dock. For any more information about the PowerPole Charge, you can go to powerpole.com or stop by one of your local dealers. That's your PowerPole tip.
Captain Chad Kinney in the Lower Coast region has your black drum and trout inshore report, along with your offshore snapper and tuna report, weather permitting, of course. Talk to us, Chad.
Yep, good stuff. We got inshore, offshore, and inshore is looking probably a little bit more promising this weekend. I see a little bit of seas amping up, but I'll get some good reports coming on both of them, starting with the inshore here. Of course, stuff we don't talk about a whole bunch, but maybe a few times throughout the season is the black drum. And right now we're on the tail end of it, coming off the winter here into it. So right now, if you're looking out there to get some action, black drum are still being caught. Some good spots right now are in Baffin Bay, in the land cut also, and there's some redfish mix.
I think we lost it. All right, so
Live TV, let's go.
Yeah, so basically what he was saying is for those black drum, you want to try FISHBITES. Also attach that to a jig on the bottom or a Carolina rig, and then cast them on the drop-offs and let it sit until those black drum find it. You want to use a pinned spin fisher gear. 3000 series size reel will really work well. Try to load it up with some diamond 30-pound braid. He has a photo here of a black drum.
Let's see it.
There's a nice little black
I love
drum.
the way
That's
they
from
sound.
the jetty there.
Yep.
All right, his second species inshore is trout fishing. Chad, tell us about the trout. We lost you there for a minute.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so the trout fishing is definitely picking up. I've seen some of the best trout fishing we've had in a while here. These water temps coming up, and that they're on the rise. So look for those trout to be in that 4 to 6 foot of water. The soft plastic, try some saltwater assassin. Magic grass is always one of my favorite colors there. Sea shad there with an 1/8 ounce jig head. What you got to do is, of course, put it on, but let it drop down those deeper grass beds. You're going to feel it a little bit like that with a little bit slower retrieve, kind of get them in the sand pockets, and you'll feel that little thump right now, and it's a good solid 17 to 22 inch, 23 inch trout. We actually had one the other day that was 23 inches, weighed almost 5 pounds. And there's some fat tide runners. And also a good effective way right now is the shrimp are starting to show up. We just started catching shrimp at the marina there, so they follow the food chain there. So right now, popping cork and live shrimp is also a really good time right now to get in that same area, that 4 to 6 foot of water. So basically on your popping cork, just adjust the leader to your depth of water. So right now, if you're fishing at 5 foot where they're kind of hanging out, maybe put it about a 30-inch leader or so in that popping cork and make really hard pops on it, make that sound go. Let it sit for a few seconds and keep repeating it, and you'll have some really good action on those good trout. You got a picture here, little Ezra. He's always fishing off the banks at the dock there and stuff like that. So he got him under on the trout there. He's a little fishing fool. So
yeah, he is.
Moving to offshore, say what state water snapper fishing is still hard to beat as far as consistency. When the weather's permitting, and then also in the weather, the main thing on that one is head up deeper to the floater rigs for some tuna and some wahoo action. The state water snapper, like I said, it's still really good. The currents are subsiding just a little bit. They're starting to still push south, but they're still starting to subside. So you guys can maybe move from those bank weights over to those Eagle Claw 3 to 5 ounce trocar jigs. These things have some great hooks. They're sharp. And put a strip of fish bites on this attached to them. Works really, really good. Check out your Garmin sonar. If you see those fish are starting to suspend, then go ahead and get to a lighter jig on that Eagle Claw and go to like a 1 to 3 ounce and work the middle of that water column where you see them starting to mark. So say if you're fishing in 90 foot of water or so and you're marking them at 40, 50 down, drop that jig down, and if you feel it stop, click it over real quick because that snapper probably hit it on the free fall. And if not, just kind of work that jig up and down to that area. Don't do a fast retrieve, just kind of work that area. They're going to thump it and usually get some bigger fish up in that water column also. Got a picture of a trip we just did here in the last week or so, and got a solid mess of limited snapper there, mixed sizes. So
wow.
Moving over to the deeper floater rigs, I told you last week I was going to head out. I declined on Saturday because the seas were picking up more than I thought, so we did a trip on Sunday. But a buddy of mine went out there, and there's lots of species out there. Of course, blackfin tuna were there. There's some yellowfin action going on. The hard part is to get the window this time of year. You got to be really prepared, though, with all your gear. So if you are going to make it out there, always take a different assortment of gear, but the main thing you want to definitely take, I'll go real quick, is like the Penn 6500 to 8500 spinning series. They're battle or spin fishers mixed with that blue carnage rod. Those things are like bulletproof. You know, they're really, really good and great in casting. They got power to land you 100-pound tuna, no problem with that. And they're great for your jigging and for your topwater popper action. And then for your trolling conditions, definitely go with the Penn, about 30 to 50 wides right now. You don't need too much bigger than that. Get it spooled up, brand new Memori Mono, and put those islanders out during the daylight hours. That's going to hit your tuna, your wahoo, the billfish out there. It'll hit everything. And then once it gets dark, go to chunking bait and go back to your Penn spinners and start vertically jigging and get some money, get some chunking ready and some bait ready for the all-night deal, and then repeat it in the morning there. So it's a picture of yellowfin tuna here. It's not a monster, but these guys went out there and they caught a couple yellowfin and they got blown out at 11:30 at night and kind of made their way home. So definitely check the weather windows, but there is some good reports of some good fish out there.
All right, thank you for calling us back there, Chad. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the shallow sport boats hotspot from the lower coast region. He says inshore, Baffin Bay and the land cut are producing good numbers of black drum and some redfish. The trout fishing is picking up on the grass beds in 4 to 6 feet of water. And then offshore, state water snapper bite is still good with some tuna action out deep at the floaters. Man, there was a good picture of those. Those were all state water red snappers.
That was a pretty picture.
Yeah,
I love the boys were just living it up. Living the dream. All right, Shallow Sport Boat is hosting their 21st annual Owners Fishing Tournament May 13th through the 14th in South Padre. This event has become known as the biggest and best owners tournament on the Gulf Coast. Hundreds of teams compete for over $250,000 worth of prizes, including a brand new Shallow Sport boat, Suzuki motor, and McLean trailer package. For more information, scan the QR code on the screen or go to shallowsporttournament.com. Yes, Rick?
If we win, what are you going to do with your shallow sport?
I'm gonna go to Disney World. Got 2 kids.
I like it.
Just kidding. I'm gonna go somewhere else. I'm gonna go fishing somewhere.
All
Where should we go?
I don't know. We'll figure
it out. All right, let's head into the Garmin Middle Coast region where conditions have definitely been better, but with Captain Bink Grimes on our side, we will prevail and get on some fish. Talk to us, Bink.
All right, our trout actions, it's been kind of average at best, mostly due to the ever-changing winds and water temps. However, with the water temps in the high 60s this week, we're expecting the trout to begin to head to the shorelines. Already, we've seen our first topwater action for the spring on the mirror sheep pups. The best bite, though, has come on mirror Little Johns and Morning Glory Bass Assassins, the little 3-inch sea shad. Best catch is the Matagorda coming to the diversion channel on Bass Assassins and mirror lures. Best bite's been early for lots of catch and release trout. Freeport, good trout are showing up around the jetty on live shrimp and in the back bay areas, bass drop and chocolate bow. Our tides have gotten better, so a lot of those fish are going to those back lakes. And then expect better actions on the reef, on the edges with live shrimp. Like I said, we've had some pumping southeast winds. It was 90 degrees this week, and it's pumped our tides up, and those fish are heading to the reef. Rockport's been best on Texas Custom Corkies and Bass Assassins. Fish along the shorelines, the drop-offs along the ICW are good on scented bait, especially the Berkeley ones. East Matagorda Bays, it's seen its best action on the east end of the bay with the stiff winds. Most of those mid-bay reefs, they've been kind of tough to fish with the muddy water and the high winds, so they've been getting a break. Good catches have come in the back lake around Port O. on bass assassins and other shad imitations. Most of those fish are holding tight to the grass line. They're coming out when the sun shines. Throwing topwaters as well. Any of the barrel topwaters will work. The catch and release attitude has been prevalent around here. A lot of captains, especially those who wade and seek the larger fish, they're continuing to promote, catch and release all up and down the coast, and that's great news. Our redfish, they've been a mainstay this spring with the high winds and higher tides have made it even better. Lots more real estate to fish. Jetty anglers in Freeport, Matagorda, Port O, and Port Aransas have been enjoying bent rods on cracked blue crab and shrimp. Many of the reds have been oversized, but plenty of slot reds have been found on the adjacent flats. With the swollen tides in April, expect a lot of redfish to be on those grassy shorelines and way up there in the back reaches of the bay, which that bodes well. Wind blows a lot in April, so you can get in those back lakes and get away from the wind. Shell in West Matagorda Bays held lots of reds on shrimp and caught mullet. It'll only get better in the coming days as those tides begin to creep higher and higher. And the sand flats around the diversion channels have been good for schooling redfish on mullet. It's really all about the tides this time of year. Move with the tides, and those fish are going to go shallow when those tides really ball up. We'll go to black drum. If anybody want to take fillets home this time of year, man, we really push the black drum. They're a great fish to eat, and I actually prefer them over redfish. A lot of drum numbers have been showing up here in the last 2 weeks around the reefs and on the edges of the channel. They really show up this time of year with those swollen tides. They're on just about every piece of shell there is. It's always a great time, working them with live shrimp, dead shrimp. Best spots are around Matagorda on Shell Island, Matt Island, and in Port O'Connor. San Antonio Bay is just littered with reefs, and it's a great time for that. Really good time to get those kids out. There's a photo there. Black drum hit. A lot of people throw shrimp at them, but in this instance, this black drum hit a mirror lure Little John, which shows you that stink, that scented bait, and those mirror lure Little Johns really, really work in West Matagorda Bay. We're forecasting this week for another round of warmer temperatures. Another great week for the Garmin Middle Coast. Our trees are blooming. Our flowers are showing up on the highways, and our catches are really, really improving. And we ask that you just continue to take care of our bays and release more than you keep.
Well, you continue to keep giving us good reports, Bink. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the mirror lure hotspots from the Middle Coast region. Bink says that the trout are good in West Matagorda Bay on live shrimp and bass assassins around the Shell Island and Coon Island. And then redfish are good at Port O'Connor Jetty on crabs and shrimps.
All right, if you're fishing in the lower fresh region this weekend, stick around for your report because we're coming to you next. But first, we're seeing what kinds of new products Dave has for your outdoor enthusiast shopping pleasure at the workbench.
I've been hypnotized.
Hypnotized? By what?
By this SOS. Very nice little light here.
You're not supposed to look at it, Dave.
I know, don't look into the light.
Never, never.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Tin Cup Mountain Whiskey. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a MirrOlure. Abu Garcia, Fish to Win. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Fenwick, feel everything. Diamond Fishing Products, our reputation is on the line. R&R Tackle, from our tackle box to yours. And STARTRON, start, run, and store with...
So it's time for the product showcase here at the workbench, Dave. And as you can tell, besides having the tin cup here, we've got some new products.
Yep.
So why don't we just go ahead and get started?
We got the 6-inch grub from FISHBITES Fight Club. These are really good-sized grub. Really good tails on them. All the fish bites, they exude natural bait scent. So, and they have an enzyme in there. When a fish gets close to it, he wants to eat it. But not only that, those things have a really, really nice action to them. Very durable, really long tail. It's for a bigger bait, you know. It's good for snappers. You know, you can fish.
Great for cobias.
Cobia, snapper, even grouper. A big trout, believe it or not, will eat one of those things. A big white, you know, with that big white color there.
Yeah. This is my favorite color in all the Fish Bites color. It's called Hammer Fist, Dave.
Hammer Fist.
And all of the little red, it's kind of an off-white. It's a little bit of a pinkish color. But all of the little red little enzymes look like veins that you would see.
Okay.
So keep that in mind, you know.
Right. Well,
I like that.
The scent melts in the water, but not on your hands, you know. And it's got 4 count packs and you know, long supple tail, which you know you can't beat.
I think it's endless of what we can do with these. I'm so excited that they've created that for our fishing.
Fishbites.com. You can go get those. Next, we have the Berkley Jaywalker 120. That's the bone color right there. It's probably my favorite color and bait there is. You know, I love top water stuff. It's got 3 4/0 hooks on there. They're 3 times anti-rust, you know, 3 times strong. Really good hooks. It's got a tail-weighted design so that it casts really a long way. You know, it flips around and goes with that tail going that way. Very easy to start walking action. It's got a nice ridge on the back, you know, that helps it throw a lot of water around, and it's easy. You know, a lot of times,
I believe this helps cast further too.
It probably does. It lays over and probably goes a long way. But that thing's 5/7 of an ounce. I don't know exactly what that is, but it's 5/7 of an ounce and 4 3/4 inches long, and it comes with 5 colors. I mean, that's bone.
And guys, when you go, make sure you get the one that says in the packaging saltwater hard baits, because it has all the upgraded hardware for saltwater, and they won't rust the hooks, the Fusion 19 hooks.
You go to berkeley-fishing.com to see those. Next, we got some T&H Marine, the handheld LED spotlight. That's got 140 to 260 lumens, which is a lot for the 3 little batteries. It comes with 3 little AAA batteries. It's waterproof up to 3 feet down. 3 light modes that you can trigger. You know, it's got high, low, and then the SOS. What I really like about it is that little thing right there. You know, it can either hang. You know, it's got these little hooks that can hang, or you know, you can set it up as if you don't need another set of hands. You know?
Nice.
Yeah, so you can have it hold it and just and look at stuff. Because I'm always, you know, having to do things with one hand and hold the light. You know.
Well, if you're having to change your trailer your trailer tire at night, early in the morning or whatever, you could put it on the SOS and then set it down there facing backwards so some guy doesn't run you over.
That's a good idea too. Yeah.
You know, why not?
Yeah. T&H Marine, one of those.
One last product. What do you got?
Well, we got this Magellan Pro. It's a leak-proof, big square container here. It's on wheels, actually. It actually comes off the wheels. It's called the Frosty Vault. You know, advanced fabrication on here. 840 denier nylon shell. It's a task-driven design, so you know it's made to do what it's made to do. 40 cans. It holds 40 cans. It floats even when it's full. It's got a little bottle opener over here that you can take off or leave on. All these zippers are waterproof zippers.
Right.
So if you put it in the back of your car, all the ice and water and stuff that's in there is not going to wind up in your car. These, you know, collapsible on these wheels, but there's a little Velcro doodad right here. You flip this Velcro off, and you can take the wheels off and just take the cooler itself.
So you can have the cooler itself.
Correct. And it comes with a nice shoulder strap as well, so you can carry it or roll it. I don't know why anybody would want to carry it when you could roll it, but you know, you never know. And little area in the front here for, you know, miscellaneous stuff.
Boy,
sunglasses.
They've thought of everything.
Bree, if we would have had this before you had baby, we could have carried baby formula and everything else in here.
Put a lot of claws in there.
I guess we.
Baby
claws.
Leo.
Did you say claw?
Claw.
You triggered me. You
Yeah,
just triggered
exactly.
me. All right, we're ready for all the big ones coming out of Choke Canyon, Falcon, Bastrop, Travis, Fayette County, Decker, and Somerville in the lower fresh region. So Matt, take us fishing.
Well, come on, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's talk about that lower freshwater region. The bass fishing's been really good at most of the lakes in South Texas. I'm going to start off with a report from Mike Bates at Choke Canyon. With all the warm, stable weather we've had lately, the water temperatures continue to rise. The bass are pretty much done spawning, and they are extremely active. He's catching 60 to 80 fish a day right now. Lots of 2 and 3 pounders with some 6 and 8 pounders mixed in.
Moving baits have been the ticket. Spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, and square bills have been working best. Also catching some on Texas rig, soft plastic stick baits. Down at Falcon, I've just been crushing them lately. The shad spawn has kicked in full force. So most of your fish are in less than 5 feet of water, and they're very aggressive feeding up on those shads. So square bill crankbaits, vibrating jigs, and spinnerbaits have been the best option. There's a few fish out in that 10 to 12 foot water biting soft plastics and deeper crankbaits. Brian Cotter sent me some reports from around the Austin area. Lake Bastrop is fishing great. The fish are starting to bunch up in schools out on a little bit deeper water. They're not service schooling, but keep your eye on your electronics and look for groups of them outside the grass line. You can catch those fish throwing crankbaits and lipless crankbaits through them. Shaky heads of Texas rig finesse worms and trick worms will catch some of them as well. One of the best bites he's got going out now is run the outside grass line with a wake bait or a Texas rig fluke, and you'll get a lot of bites. There's still a few big ones in the cuts and coves that are spawning. Throw lizards around any type of reeds, trees, and laydowns to get some of those bedding bass to bite. Lake Travis is just kicking them out. The numbers like it always does. There are a lot of fish still in the coves. There's quite a few bedding bass around. You want to throw a Texas rig lizard on those beds to catch the bigger fish. You also catch some nice fish cranking on the main lake ledges. Those rock ledges are in that 10 to 15 foot range right now are the best ones. Spinnerbait and chatterbait along the wind-blown points can catch you quite a few as well. Lake Decker is going strong, catching lots of 4 to 7 pounders right now. Still a few on beds, but most of them have moved out. You want to throw 5-inch soft plastic stick baits or crawl worms in the green shades, green pumpkin and watermelon to get the most bites. A 10 to 12 foot crankbait is getting lots of bites when the bass are schooled up out a little bit deeper. Greg Boyk sent me a report from Fayette County. Still finding a few fish in the shallow grass with lipless crankbaits, swim jigs, and chatterbaits. But Carolina rigs, drop shots, and big shaky heads paired with soft plastic stick baits or flukes in the watermelon shades has been his best fish catcher right now out on the deeper structure in that 10 to 15 foot range. Still a few fish flipping the trees with dark creature baits with a lightweight. Lake Somerville, the bass are up shallow relating to the shad. Got shad spawn starting to kick in there also. Square bills, lipless cranks, spinnerbaits, and chatterbaits are doing the most of the damage there. Got a couple of pictures from a couple of my clients, Brady and Braden from Illinois last week. They went back to the Midwest with a pretty big smile on both their faces, to say the least.
I'm smiling for them, Bub. I just want you to know, Bub. I am. Go ahead, tell us what else you got for us this week.
I got a little catfish from down at Falcon, Ram Reyes with Texas Kings Outdoors. Says the cats are biting really well. They're up trying to spawn now. They spawn after the bass get through. Catching lots of keeper-sized catfish, up shallow during the day. Better catfishing has been at night to avoid the heat. Shad, chicken liver, and shrimp have been best for the keeper size. The big catfish have been caught on live shad or perch or fresh cut bait in that 5 to 15 foot range. Got a couple of pictures of his clients from the last week with a couple of great big old blue cats. That's got to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Bugs.
You ain't kidding, Bub.
I want
Good
a big
job.
ol' hug
All right,
from
we're
him.
going to go ahead and take a look at the
things.
FiberTech hotspots. Great pictures this week, Matt. Thank you so much. He says, Choke Canyon, the bass are chewing. Concentrate on the inside and the outside grass lines with moving baits for the best numbers. 60 to 80 fish days have been common, so get out there and join in on some of that fun. Can you imagine catching 60 to 80 fish in a day?
No. Well,
What? I've done that before.
have you? I haven't. Have you?
One throw of the net, you can get more than that.
Well,
Come on.
seriously?
Hey, I forgot to say, this is Academy Sports and Outdoors. Go to
You did?
academy.com
Oh, of course I
to
did.
get
did?
this. It's Magellan, I did mention that, but Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Some clinking.
Academy.com. You can
Clanking
get
over
it.
here.
It's time.
It's time for a
It's time for a little tin cup, man.
Pop them.
So Dave, I can't imagine, catching 80 fish, 80 bass in one day.
No.
That would have to hurt.
That'd be awesome.
It'd have to hurt your side.
I caught like 40 wahoo one day once.
I went with Matt last year, and I came back with bruises all along my rib cage from where I would put the rod button to set the hook.
Yeah.
And you're just ticklish. Is that what that is?
Let's just have some tin cup whiskey. Gentlemen, thank you guys for joining in. I hope you have a great weekend on the water. Be safe out there. Stay warm. It's cold.
Yeah.
This will keep
Stay
you warm.
cold
Be
if
back,
it's warm.
guys. Thank you for watching.
We're going to stay warm right now. See you next
You
week.
must have already had some tin cup.
No, I'm just happy.